Hello and very warm welcome at Amish Cycle 5858. I am Amish Cycle. Foreign news have been reported by American, European, Asian, African, Australian news channels and the news agencies. So please let's go to the headlines.
David Muir, ABC's World News Tonight, America's most watched newscast. Now streaming same day with all the breaking news of the day on Disney Plus. Most watched, most trusted. Now on Disney Plus every night.
Tonight we have breaking news. Tiger Woods arrested, crashing his SUV. The rollover near his home in Florida. Images tonight of the vehicle on its side. Tiger Woods off in the distance. Police say Woods under arrest now for DUI. It comes after multiple crashes in recent years. There had been talk of a comeback. The Masters in just weeks. What we know at this hour about the crash. Also tonight, the chaos at America's airports. TSA workers going without pay. Hours-long waits for passengers. The Senate passing a funding bill to pay them, but the House tonight blocking it. So what's going on? And now President Trump signing an order to pay TSA employees. How long will that take? The war in Iran tonight and what sources are now telling ABC News, what Secretary of State Marco Rubio has told U.S. allies about how long this war could last. Tonight, global oil above $100 a barrel, the Dow dropping nearly 800 points today. And just in tonight, the AP now reporting multiple U.S. service members have been injured in an Iranian missile and drone attack. We'll go live to Matt Rivers with what we've learned. Tonight, the hack involving the head of the FBI, his personal email, private email, and photos posted online. And who's allegedly behind it? The FBI responding tonight. The deadly crash of a tour helicopter right into the ocean. At least 3 people killed, and the rescues tonight. Major news tonight involving the alleged Long Island serial. Will he plead guilty? The close call on the slopes, a skier performing stunts, just missing a child. Tonight, the NASA astronaut who suffered that medical scare in space, now revealing he was suddenly unable to speak for 20 minutes in space. Like father, like son. Look at this tonight. The famous football star and his 14-year-old son, tonight looking just like his Hall of Fame dad. And the Disney legends revealed tonight. Actors, singers, producers, and one iconic leader who says it was all a ride of a lifetime. From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir. Good evening. This is Asia Now.
It's 12 p.m. in Singapore and Hong Kong, 9:30 in New Delhi, and 11 o'clock in Jakarta. I'm Rani Samtani. At this hour, U.S. President Donald Trump says the war with Iran is not over yet, announcing plans to hit thousands more targets. He's also threatening to cut funding support for NATO over the alliance's lack of support in the conflict.
But I think a tremendous mistake was when NATO just wasn't there. They just weren't there. Why would we be there for them if they're not there for us? They weren't there for us.
U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the war on Iran could be over in weeks and without the use of ground troops.
We are on or ahead of schedule on that operation and expect to conclude it at the appropriate time here. In a matter of weeks, not months, and the progress is going very well.
And in Indonesia, a social media ban for children comes into effect as more governments look to tighten rules for young users. The U.S. is expecting its military campaign in Iran to conclude within a matter of weeks. President Donald Trump said they have more than 3,000 targets left to strike in Iran, a task he said could be done pretty quickly.
I mean, I know it doesn't sound right for me to say this, but I'd love my legacy to be made as a great peacemaker, because I really believe I'm a peacemaker. It doesn't seem it right now, but I think I'm a peacemaker.
His top diplomat, Marco Rubio, said military operations are
Fox News Alert Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the war in Iran could be over in a matter of weeks, not months.
We have objectives. I've told you what those objectives are, and we are very confident that we are on the verge of achieving them very, very soon.
Rubio told G7 allies that this could be wrapped up in 2 to 4 weeks, as the Pentagon's currently considering sending 10,000 more ground troops into the Middle East. And the clock continues to tick for the mullahs. The president says the Iranians are on their knees.
Iran! What's the latest with Iran, sir?
On Iran, they are being decimated. They are talking. We are talking now. They want to make a deal. Very simply, our military is the greatest in the world by far. Iran is being decimated.
It's only going to get worse. Our kamikaze speedboats have just entered the war zone for the first time in the history of combat. These robo-skippers, also known as GARCs, are like remote-controlled jet skis that explode on impact. They're cheaper to make than missiles and have already logged over 2,000 miles in epic fury. And they're targeting Tehran's fleet of high-speed attack boats. The Strait of Hormuz is becoming a testing ground for next-generation warfare. The USS Abraham Lincoln was also pictured just outside of the strait in the Arabian Sea. The warship's nearly the size of the Empire State Building, and it's untouchable.
A very valuable thing that we had floating on the water, namely an aircraft carrier, biggest in the world. And they were shot, 101, going 2,500 miles an hour. And out of the 101 missiles shot, 101 missiles were shot down.
The USS Tripoli is almost in position, and on board, the Marines. New photos show the 31st Marine Expeditionary Unit conducting a live-fire deck shoot from the ship, preparing for action. Joining our F-35.
The Expanse podcast on ABC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
Today, the cleanup begins after ex-tropical cyclone Narelle leaves a trail of destruction in WA. The Prime Minister announces measures to secure additional fuel shipments as the Middle East war disrupts the supply chain.
The longer this war goes on, the more the impacts will be. So what we want to do is to be over-prepared.
Iran says civilian sites have been hit in new strikes. And a former Manly star named as the Sea Eagles' interim head coach following Anthony Seibold's shock sacking. Hello and welcome to ABC News. I'm Melissa McCabe. Exmouth residents are assessing the damage left by ex-tropical cyclone Narelle after it hit the northern WA town as a Category 4 system.
Hello and a very good morning to you. This is Sky News. These are your latest headlines. Donald Trump claims Tehran agreed to send 10 ships of oil to atone for denying ceasefire negotiations were underway with the United States.
Remember this? They lied about 3 days ago. I said, yeah, we're negotiating with this. We are not negotiating. They're being hit so hard, anybody would be negotiating.
Here in the UK, the Prime Minister tells Sky News he won't bow to pressure from Donald Trump to join the war in the Middle East.
I want to keep them clear. I'm not going to waver on this. I'm not going to back down.
As Israel says it has begun a wave of strikes targeting Hezbollah in Lebanon, we report from the country's south on the civilians who say they can't flee the fighting. Tiger Woods is charged with driving under the influence after crashing his car in Florida. And petrol retailers insist the UK's fuel supply is stable after Asda warned of temporary shortages at a small number of pumps. Hello and a very good morning to you. Thanks for joining us here on Sky News. Donald Trump has claimed he's won concessions from Iran in the form of 10 oil tankers. Speaking in Miami.
Africa News. The news.
À moins de 3 semaines du scrutin présidentiel du 12 avril, la campagne au Bénin oppose deux dynamiques radicalement différentes. D'un côté, le dauphin du président Patrice Talon en meeting géant dans le nord du pays. De l'autre côté, Paul Oubet, candidat des forces choriques pour un Bénin émergent, qui mise sur une stratégie plus discrète, reste déterminé.
Deuxièmement, il ne s'agit pas d'un match amical. C'est un match sérieux. Et je sais que si quelque chose ne change pas dans les 2 semaines qui viennent, ou que si on devrait voter aujourd'hui, c'est que nous sommes prêts. Oui ou non?
Un discours combatif dans un pays où l'opposition est affaiblie. Les démocrates, écartés faute de parrainage suffisant, ont refusé de soutenir une candidature commune.
La chance de notre candidat est intégrale. Et il fallait que nous expliquions au peuple que nous apportons la meilleure solution face à la faim, face à l'inclusivité et face à la situation du pays.
Dans ce paysage politique métamorphosé où l'opposition se résume presque au FCBE et à quelques formations marginales, les partisans de Paul Oubet gardent espoir, comptant sur une stratégie de terrain loin des grands meetings et les promesses de changement.
La guerre en Iran provoque des répercussions jusque sur le continent africain. Pénurie de carburant, hausse des prix, tensions sur l'énergie, plusieurs pays sont déjà touchés. Au Soudan du Sud, l'électricité est désormais rationnée dans la capitale Juba, avec des coupures quotidiennes qui perturbent la vie et l'économie. À Maurice, des restrictions ont été mises en place pour limiter la consommation d'énergie. Même logique au Zimbabwe où le gouvernement augmente la part d'éthanol dans l'essence pour réduire la dépendance aux importations. En Éthiopie, le carburant est désormais réservé aux secteurs essentiels, tandis que certaines régions en sont totalement privées. Au Kenya, des stations-service sont en rupture de stock, alimentant les achats de panique. En Égypte, les commerces doivent fermer plus tôt pour faire face à une facture énergétique en forte hausse. Partout, les populations subissent les conséquences, transport plus cher, inflation et baisse du pouvoir d'achat. Mais certains pays pourraient en tirer profit. Le Nigeria bénéficie de la hausse des prix du pétrole, tandis que des ports africains voient passer davantage de navires.
For the first time in more than 2 years, athletes in the embattled Gaza Strip have taken part in what has been described as a marathon. The race on Friday took place as the US brokered ceasefire in the Palestinian territory is largely holding. Some 300 participants from across the enclave wearing white-numbered shirts ran to the backdrop of cheering fans. It's a wonderful feeling to have a ceasefire and an end to the bloodshed, and it's wonderful to feel free. Salahuddin Street was once difficult to walk on, but today we're participating in a marathon, and this is a very wonderful feeling. They ran just 4 kilometers, far short of the standard 42-kilometer distance for a marathon, along Salah al-Din Street, which spans the entire length of the territory. But the excitement was palpable. During this war and the difficult circumstances we're facing, it was a wonderful feeling today after a break from sports for more than 2 years. Today, I feel wonderful. I feel proud that I was able to achieve first place. After more than 2 years of war and widespread destruction, the humanitarian situation in Gaza remains catastrophic despite the fragile truce.
The International Olympic Committee announced on Thursday that transgender women will be banned from competing as females from the 2028 Games. Eligibility for any female category at IOC events will now be limited to biological women with an athlete's status determined by a one-time screening process.
The policy that we have announced is based on science, and it has been led by medical experts with the best interests of athletes at its heart. The scientific evidence is very clear. Male chromosomes
On this Friday night, deadline delayed. President Trump's threat to attack Iran's energy infrastructure is put off again as the regime tightens its stranglehold on the Strait of Hormuz.
And for them, survival is victory.
The latest on the surging price of oil and the growing risk of a global recession. MP apology. The backlash was apparent Fed being human rights record. Height for the J's.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting.
Postpones on our energy infrastructure for the next 10 days.
They are being decimated. They are talking now. Our military is the greatest in the world by far. Iran is being decimated.
Friday, Israel's defense minister vowed to expand and escalate attacks on Iran.
Hello and welcome to Night Watch from France 24. I'm Charlotte Hughes and here are our top stories hour. The US says the US expects to end its operations in Iran in the next couple of weeks. On the ground, as US-Israeli strikes continue, including Iran, the toll on civilians is mounting. Iran, meanwhile, is pressing ahead with its retaliatory attacks on Israel. For civilians to find refuge in the country. The number of those displaced has now topped 1 million, according to the UN's refugee agency. And the official World Cup jersey for the French national team is unveiled in New York City, just months before France is set to play its opening match against Senegal. Our correspondent Jessica Lemazurier visits the French consulate for a closer look.
This is DW News, and these are our top stories. Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff says he believes Iran and the US will hold talks this week to end the war. US-Israeli strikes have meanwhile hit 2 Iranian nuclear facilities, prompting threats of retaliation from Tehran against industrial sites. Israel has also vowed to step up attacks on Iran. US Secretary of State Marco Rubio says he expects war objectives in Iran to be complete within 2 weeks and without the use of ground troops. He was speaking after leaders of the G7 nations met in France. President Trump has extended a deadline on striking Iran's energy plants by a further 10 days, saying negotiations between the two sides are going well. Iran denies talks are taking place. The Pentagon is considering redirecting weapons originally meant for Ukraine to the Middle East, according to a report by the Washington Post. They include air defense interceptor missiles purchased through a NATO initiative. The Pentagon is concerned that the US is burning through its missile stocks in the Iran war.
Thank you for watching. I'm Shakil 5858. I hope you will come again. Have a good life. Bye-bye.